Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're watching this presentation. My name is Marwan El-Fala. I'm going to be speaking to you about cross-curricular learning. This presentation is theme 3 in the carousel regarding the active inquiry. Right, so the very first question that I'd like you to actually think about, you must have heard the term national curriculum. We're 3-4 weeks into the course, so what does the national curriculum actually mean? And if you thought about why do we actually have a national curriculum, and any idea why the Education Reform Act of 1988 was significant? So just give you a few seconds to think about it before I move on to the next slide. I hope I wasn't too quick there. Right, so why do we have a national curriculum, and what is it? Right, so basic school curriculum includes the national curriculum as well as religious and education and sex education, set of subjects and standards used by primary and secondary schools so that children basically learn the same things. Covers subjects that are taught and the standards children should reach in each subject. Interestingly enough, academies and private schools do not have to follow the national curriculum, although academies must teach a broad and balanced curriculum, including maths, English and science, and they must also teach RE. It must be noted that a lot of academies, even though they're not obliged to follow the national curriculum, they will still follow it. And that's coming from, these words are not the words of my own, these are words from the website, which you can see at the bottom. So it's from the Department of Education themselves. Education Reform Act 1988 brought in lots of changes, such as national testing, the national curriculum as we see, league tables, Ofsted, and also the funding formula, so how schools are actually funded. Another question for you to think about, which subjects do you think are actually part of the national curriculum or statutory part at Key Stage 3 and Key Stage 4? You might get a bit of a surprise when I put up the answers in a second. Okay. Right, so Key Stage 3, a lot more subjects than at Key Stage 4. English, maths, science, I think everyone was expecting that. But also we've got history, geography, modern languages, design and technology, art and design, music, physical education, citizenship and computing. These subjects are generally taught as discrete subjects in schools, although you might find some of them are taught cross-curricular, especially citizenship. Schools must provide religious education and sex education from Key Stage 3, but parents can ask for the children to be taken out of whole lesson or part of it. With regards, there has been a change in the law recently, so children cannot be taken out of what's considered relationship education. That's from 2020. Key Stage 4, a lot different than Key Stage 3. Most students, schools that you will soon be going to, most of them will be working towards national qualifications, usually GCSEs. Compulsory national curriculum subjects are the core and the foundation subjects. So the core ones, English, maths, science. These are essential. In every school they must teach them. And you have the foundation subjects, computing, physical education, citizenship. Interestingly enough, computing is not necessarily found on the curriculum. It might be taught in a cross-curricular way. Physical education is usually taught as PE. It might be taught as a GCSE. You might have the GCSE as an option, but in schools they have to have compulsory PE. And citizenship is either taught via PSHE, form time, taught as a discrete subject. So it can be taught in various ways, and schools must offer at least one subject from these areas, and that's what students have got, the option system. And RE and sex education must also be provided at Key Stage 4. So just have a look at that for a few seconds. Familiarize yourself with it. Okay, right. So we're going to be talking about cross-curricular learning. So when you think about it, it is sort of learning about other subjects, learning about subjects together. You're not no subject is considered sort of an island. They have to work together. And when you read through the national curriculum, you will realise that it is the responsibility of members of staff to actually carry out cross-curricular teaching. Might not be something you thought about. So let me go through some of the key points. This document will be available. So teachers should use every relevant subject to develop pupils' mathematical fluency. So as you can see there, every relevant subject. So it doesn't matter what subject you teach, you're expected to develop pupils' mathematical fluency. Confidence in numeracy and other mathematical skills is a precondition of success across the national curriculum. And then later on you can see all subjects mentioned. So it doesn't matter what subject you teach, whether it is computer science, whether it's science, whether it is English, whether it is modern foreign languages, you are expected to help develop pupils' numeracy and mathematical reason. Also, if we go down, working scientifically, so it says there, showing how scientific ideas have developed historically to reflecting modern developments in science and informing students of the role of science in understanding the causes and solutions to some of the changes facing society. So that's not just for science as a subject, but as you can see there, we've got words such as, we've got history in there, so there are links in there. That's all teachers as well. And here we've got English, and you can see what it says there. English is both a subject in its own right and the medium for teaching pupils, understanding the language, and provides access to the whole curriculum. I think we all agree that you need a certain standard of English to be able to access the curriculum, to be able to understand the exam questions. And it goes on there. So it's practically stating the obvious, fluency in the English language is an essential foundation for success in all subjects. And then it talks about computing, deep links with maths, science and design technology. So you can see there that the cross-curricular links is basically mentioned in the national curriculum. Art, craft and design. And you can see there it's talking about history as well. Culture, creativity and wealth of our nation. Citizenship. So we can see there, teaching should equip pupils with the skills and knowledge to explore political and social issues critically, to weigh evidence, debate and make reasoned arguments. And this can be carried out in a number of different subjects, also during form time. So even if you take my subject, computer science, we're often talking about the Data Protection Act, we might be talking about GDPR, we're talking about civil liberties. So these are political and social issues, and you can find that in a number of subjects, English, history. So as you can see, teaching itself does lend itself to cross-curricular learning. And there we've got where it starts talking about music, and also it's got technology there. So we've got technologies, music, there's a link there. And design technology, it's just so clear there in the national curriculum. It mentions disciplines such as maths, science, engineering, computing and art. Geography, growing knowledge of the world, deepening their understanding and interaction between physical and human processes. So we've got a bit of science in there, but also we've got other concepts, formation and use of the landscapes and environments. And then it goes on further. then we're moving on to history, and you can see understanding historical concepts such as continuity, change. So you can see that there. And you can see the links between history and geography there if you go down. And when we're talking about local, regional, national, international history, cultural, economics, that's another subject in itself. Religious, we can see that that's another subject as well. So you can see different subjects are in the national curriculum do refer to other subjects. And here we've got English. Sorry, that wasn't, I think that's modern foreign languages there. And then we've got P at the bottom. So even things such as demonstrate improvement to improve their personal best, the analysis there, skills to solve problems. So these are clearly linked to other subjects. When you're talking about your personal best, you've got maths there, skills to solve problems. That can either be scientific, it can be mathematical. Also, there's a citizenship element as well there, working in a team, building on trust. Waters in 2006 said the national curriculum subjects are only part of the curriculum. The real curriculum is the entire planned learning experience. This is about looking at how the curriculum can meet the needs of children now and in the future. There's a famous phrase about how we are preparing students now for jobs in the future that don't exist, that don't currently exist, and also we're preparing them to use technology in the future that currently doesn't exist. Right, what does cross-curricular mean in your subject? So you just take a minute or two, just think there. What does cross-curricular actually mean in your subject? So if you're DT, your PE, maths, science, just have a think there. And when you get a chance, if you can share with some of your colleagues, it'd be good to have a discussion on it. What does cross-curricular teaching actually mean and learning that you might have observed? So it might be you learning, or it might be you in a school and you've seen cross-curricular teaching taught very well. Ofsted, all maintained schools must meet the minimum requirements of the national curriculum, but they are free to plan their curriculum in the way they consider to be the most suitable for their learners. If you go into most schools, it's quite similar in a way. You have subjects taught, you have maths, English, science, you have PE, you have RE, you have history. That's in secondary school. Primary schools, it's a little bit more open, but it doesn't need to be like that. That model is not the law, but that's the way that we've sort of chosen as a society to go with. Probably for convenience, it's probably easy to plan using that model. So here I'm going to talk about a study that was carried out, curriculum innovation in schools, so April 2006 to December 2007. 16 secondary, 12 primary schools, 2 special schools. They had visits by some inspectors, and they were looking at curriculum development. So they used cross-subjects or interdisciplinary approaches. And they talked about thematic teaching being more common in primary than in secondary. I can fully understand why that can be. So in primary school, you can think of a theme, and it's the same class teacher, and you can teach a number of subjects using that theme. So say you go with the ancient Egyptians, you can talk about maths, you can do art, you can do history, geography, even go as far as science, as in you can do that using one theme, and that's the way you teach. Secondary school, a little bit tougher with the way that the schools are set up, but it can be done. And it said here that it was effective on a large scale due to strong leadership and teamwork from staff. So you can imagine in a secondary school that the teamwork is absolutely essential in that, because you're going to have teachers from different subjects needing to work on something like that. Positives there from Ofsted. The activities seen were exciting, well constructed and focused very effectively on developing clearly identified skills. They go on to talk about excellent examples of collaborative work, and pupils helped each other, and they said they went on to refine and develop their ideas. Also, they made important contributions to the teachers' thinking. Example, in one school, Year 7, pupils completed 6 projects in half a term on the theme of journeys, identity, positive images, art attack, survival, and the power and glory. And it brought a number of subjects together. As you can see, geography, history, RE, dance, drama, art, and PSHE. And students were assessed on defined competencies weekly or in individual lessons. And so they're looking at strengths and weaknesses. And that, they said, actually provided a powerful stimulus to learning and raising standards. So quite positive there. Ofsted what they're saying in that school. Rose report, the Rose review, which you will have access to, looks at primary national curriculum, said that the national curriculum is too prescribed, content heavy, and it talks about teacher fatigue and impossibly tight deadlines. And it says that the content and teaching of our curriculum should cater for children's various abilities. So it clearly doesn't think the national curriculum is fit for purpose. Rose review, subjects will remain in their own right, and then it's come up with 6 areas of learning. So English, communication, languages together, mathematical understanding, scientific and technological understanding, historical, geographical and social understanding. And then it talks about understanding physical development, health and well-being, and understanding the arts. So you can see some links with some subjects there, but you can also see some things that are sort of joined together. So for example, understanding physical development, health and well-being, you can see a little bit of PE there. You can also see PSHE, citizenship. So there's a few things that they've joined together there. Right. I would really be keen on all of you reading this article that will be shared on Teams, and have a think about your own thoughts about cross-curricular approaches in teaching and learning. What do you think about teaching maths through possibly drama, or maybe teaching a subject via, well, you can use role play in various subjects, or linking history with science, linking various subjects together, teaching maths via modern languages. So there's various things that you link. So I'd quite like you to look at this cross-curricular approach. The cross-curricular approach will also mention, of course, the thematic approach as well. So some schools have what's called drop-down days, where they choose a particular theme, and across the school everybody's got to teach based on that theme. It could be a day, it could do it a week. It might be even more adventurous and do it over a longer period of time. Hayes, regardless of the way in which the curriculum is organised, it is the quality of teaching and motivation level of pupils that has the greatest impact on children's involvement in their learning, not least the way they perceive the lesson's relevance. I think strong point there. So if you look at it, quality of teaching and the motivation levels of pupils. So i.e. you can design your curriculum in various ways, but it's how it's taught and how the students perceive the subject. If a student does not perceive the subject in high regard, that's why you might have a problem. So if you do decide to carry out cross-curricular learning for your active inquiry, you will be required to plan and carry out a piece of classroom-based research where you gather data, present and analyse your findings, and use this to inform directions for future practice. You will develop a teaching and learning intervention and assess the impact this has on your own practice and pupil progress. So you'll think about cross-curricular learning. You'll think of a intervention, and you'll see the changes that make. So it might require you working with another department. It might be making changes within your own department, within the department that you're at, and you're going to link more than one subject together. So a few ideas. Cross-curricular links within teaching subject-specific content. So you've got the subject content. So, for example, we might have canals in geography, and then if you think about canals, then there's also when was the canal built? You might look at history. You might even look at RE. There might be some sort of significance there. And also you might look at science as well. So you might be looking at a cross-curricular link there between history, science and geography. You could look at a thematic project-based teaching and learning. So you choose a particular theme and it might go across more than one subject. You might work with another department, or you might have an extracurricular club where you're learning a subject through a subject, different combinations each week. So your subject might be maths. Week 1, you're going to learn it through role play. Week 2, you're going to learn it through science, or week 3 might be through economics. Another week you might do it via PE. So that's an opportunity that you might choose to go by. Unfortunately, due to COVID-19, extracurricular clubs might be a little bit harder to administer, but it might be possible. And then you really need to think of why are you actually carrying out this action research. So what's the point of it? And I would assume you would wish to see the students gain from it. And also you need to look at what are the possible impacts of implementing interventions in the classroom. Every intervention has a risk, so you have to look at the risks of intervention. So there could be positive impacts, there could be negative ones, and you're going to have to look at both of them. Okay. Right, here's some ideas that you might wish to do. So if you get a chance to speak with someone who's not in your subject, you might want to talk to them about maybe creating a link when it comes to cross-curricular teaching. Right, I'd like to thank you all for listening. All the links will be shared in the folder. And so there's a couple of articles that would like you to read. And thank you very much. If you do choose to carry out the cross-curricular learning as your theme for the active inquiry, and you're more than welcome, and you'll be working with myself, Annika and Erica. If you choose not to, that's fine. But please note that cross-curricular learning is something that you will experience in your teaching career and during your training. And so I hope this session will have benefited you. Right, thank you very much.